Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I am super excited for this video. I have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Areli today, also known as Raw Vegan Doctor on YouTube. And I'm just super excited to have a beautiful conversation with another physician who's also raw vegan. I love her energy. I've seen her only on YouTube and online, but we were thinking of sharing a little bit more about her experience, her wisdom on this video. If you're interested in this, please stick around because I think it's going to be a beautiful interview. And if you're new to this channel, again, my name is Tumi. I'm a physician, a medical doctor, a dancer, a poet, a raw vegan, passionate about living a holistic, beautiful lifestyle and supporting you in doing the same. If you're interested in plant-based living, minimalism, raw veganism, dance, any of those things, subscribe down below if that feels good to you. Let's get the video started. Welcome, Dr. Areli.
Hi, Tumi. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor. So let's start, if you're okay, by just, can you share a little bit with us who you are, a little bit about what you do, where you're from, and your education?
Sure. Well, I'll try to be brief. I'm I'm originally from Mexico, and I grew up there all my life up to medical school and residency. I did pathology residency in Mexico City, and then considering moving to the States. So I decided, okay, what will be my best chance to get into residency in the States? And I thought, well, I'll do a residency here, so I have something to bring to that country, right? So that's what I did. And during my residency in pathology in Mexico City, I did my steps, my USMLEs, and all that. I got offered a pre-match in a program in Massachusetts, and I repeated the residency because my intentions were to stay or to train further in the States. So I repeated pathology, anatomic, and clinical pathology for 4 years. And then I decided, okay, I what kind of subspecialty I want to pursue. And I was interested in the brain. So I trained in neuropathology and UCSF. So I moved from Massachusetts to California to finish my training. And then I was looking for jobs, and I got 3 jobs offers. And I finally picked the one across the pond. So I moved to the UK since December 2018. So I've been in the UK since then. Meanwhile, I mean, I've been vegan, plant-based, and just to reinforce that empirical knowledge that I gained through the years, plus my medical background, I also train in plant-based nutrition by the University of Winchester. So I finished that. So I'm a plant-based nutrition not nutritionist because I didn't take the career, but I'm certified, right, as a plant-based provider. So that's basically my academic scholar, background. But other than that, I'm a person with interest, and I am a raw vegan as well. So.
Beautiful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Such deep knowledge in terms of, and training in terms of your neuropathology training, but I also love the plant-based nutrition you bring to the table. So I'm curious, in all of that, where did the raw vegan journey begin for you, and how did that, what instigated that journey for you?
Yeah. So when I was in my internship, I gained a lot of weight. Internship in Mexico is different than the States because you have to do mandatorily an internship in your 5th year of career. You have to be in the hospital, and you don't take care of yourself. Basically, you are on call every 24 to 72 hours. And I mean, if you are smart enough, you don't neglect your health, but most of us just trying to survive. I neglected my health. I ate very poorly, extra hours like midnight, just to survive those extenuating hours. So I gained a lot of weight. And then we have a 6th year in Mexican schools. And I think Latin American schools have the 6th year of social service because our medical education is still free. So in order to pay back to society, you go and do service for a year in a rural community. So that's where I was decided, okay, I need to take back the responsibility of my own health. And I decided to lose all the weight that I gained. I was never obese, but I was in the overweight bracket. So I, as I was an ignorant about nutrition. I did the Atkins diet for a year, and that definitely helped me to lose some weight. But I didn't feel at my best. I didn't have energy. I always was drinking coffee. A lot of cellulite problems like puffiness, and I didn't understand why it didn't went away. I was losing weight, but I was looking not in my best shape. I mean, I just lost some pounds. That's it. And then I read about vegetarianism, and that will be like a perfect solution to lose weight naturally, or keep your healthy weight naturally, and at the same time providing tremendous benefits to your health. So that's when I started, like, this Atkins stuff is not sustainable, because I
Yeah.
didn't see those benefits for me, only the weight loss, but that was it. And then, one thing led to the other. I started reading about vegetarianism. I started watching YouTube videos. I started reading blogs, because I didn't have much access in Mexico to vegan books, and the scientific literature about plant-based diet was non-existent at the moment, or not to my knowledge. So I gained more and more knowledge about that. I watch all these famous vegan YouTubers like Life Regenerator, Freely the Banana Girl, Fully Raw Christina, like all these people. And I knew about raw veganism, but I never gave it an opportunity. I know that eating fruits and vegetables was super healthy, but I think I put a lot of emphasis on veggies rather than fruit, and that was my fault, because I was never satisfied. So I was, from vegetarianism in 2009 to veganism in 2013, when I watched Earthlings, that documentary.
Oh, yeah.
That really opened my eyes, and I quit dairy and eggs, which were my staples back in the days. So I transitioned into a vegan, not so healthy, but healthier diet, until I realized that the more raw I ate, the better I felt, and my skin looked better. My performance was much better. So my body was giving me that info. Like, you know what? If you eat junk vegan food, yeah, it's satisfying, and it really suppresses an emotion and fills a void in you, because it's fillers. But if you suppress, better said, you confront those emotions, and you actually um, kind of like nourish yourself with other stuff rather than food. And
Mm-hmm.
everything is connected, so everything started making sense. And it was until I said, you know what, I know that raw veganism is the way to go. I have all these anecdotal experiences of people in YouTube and on the internet, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. And I decided to go raw finally, because I was trying high raw until 4, back and forth. But finally, January 1st, 2018 was like, you know what, from now on, I'm a raw vegan, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to make it happen. So that's my story. I mean, since then, my skin is healthier as ever. So many health benefits that I completely forgotten how I was sick in the past, and now I don't even remember that.
Amazing. Beautiful
Yeah.
testimonial. There are so many things you said there that struck me. And one thing I really loved was that whole thing of, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, is that you had to get to that place of being ready. And then it was like you were able to find what you needed through the YouTube videos, through your own research. I loved hearing that. I also it just affirmed for me again how unhealthy the health system can be, because I did my training in the States, very good medical school, great residency program also. And at that time, it's better now, but at that time it was at least 80 hours a week that I was also working. And it seems like both of us had crushing hours. That residency that's there to train healers, doctors, can be so unhealthy and can actually foster unhealthy behavior. So hearing another physician talk about that, I had a very similar experience as you. So hearing that just reiterated how unhealthy the system is and how it calls for a need for change. And the last thing I wanted to say about what you said that I loved was you made those changes, I think, in a very organic way. It seems, you know, some people will go from a standard American diet or a sad situation to, oh, I'm raw vegan. And maybe it works for a few people, but I think for many people, that can just be a recipe for disappointment and lots of stumbling blocks. And it sounded like your journey was a little bit more organic, step by step, and you kept, and then you felt in your own body the difference, which led you to raw veganism. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's totally correct, and definitely was a gradual process. And the more layers of toxicity, if you want to call it that way, because obviously people don't want to acknowledge that, but being obese is carrying with you toxicity. That's what it is.
Yes,
So
yes.
the more layers I melted, my body became more efficient, and I was able to notice, like, I don't need to stuff myself anymore, you know, like, and I was downsizing myself, not starvation, quite the contrary. Now I eat 2,500 calories, sometimes more per day, and I don't even count calories anymore,
Yeah.
just to say that. Um, but my body was giving me signals and signs, like, you know what, you know that this is not good for you, especially with going back to gourmet vegan stuff. I don't know, anything salty, savory is full of colorants and flavorings, and even if it's vegan, and we don't realize that until we actually start understanding how our bodies have to be in harmony with the ingredients that we put, and
Mm.
where those ingredients are coming from, if we really want to attain, well, not perfect, but the most optimal health ever. So that's when I realized, and it was gradual for sure. So that's why I think I didn't fail. Obviously, in my transition from vegetarianism to vegan, there was some hesitation because cheese is so addictive. Um, in my transition from raw until four to raw vegan, when I was trying without committing myself to that, it was, you know, back and forth as well, because cooked potatoes are so addictive. So yeah, it was a battle, but no something unsurmountable. It was more tolerable.
That's a beautiful segue, I think, to talk about, if you can share. You've mentioned a little bit, but the health benefits or the benefits in general you have felt eating raw as opposed to before vegetarian or even cooked vegan.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I can start. I mean, when I was normal conventional eater, standard Western American, um, I used to had a lot of constipation. It was terrible for me as a child. I remember, um, maybe I went to the to the restroom every other day. You know, it was terrible, and it was so painful because I was eating lots of dairy and bread and wheat and gluten, all the worst. Um, so constipation is gone since I went vegan. It improved definitely because I eliminated entirely dairy. Um, Varicose veins. I started developing varicose veins at 18 years old. Unimaginable, like why a teenager will develop varicose veins. Well, it happened to me. Um, that's gone now. Cellulite. I mean, I have this tendency to retain fluids. For some reason, probably my adrenal glands, my kidneys are not yet quite there in terms of being optimally functioning, but I tend to retain a lot of fluids. But I no longer have the cellulite, the morbid looking cellulite that I used to have before. For me, it's easier to go to bed and sleep without problems. I don't need coffee to be awake, you know, as a medical resident or medical student or fellow. You have to be like 24/7, you know, active.
Yes.
And I could never do that without coffee and my standard diet for sure. But now I don't need coffee. I wake up early, I run. My recovery is perfect. I'm not sore, you know, unless I remember when I was raw until four, I was so sore the next day. But
Mm.
now my joints and my synovial fluid, everything is fluid. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is
Juicy, as I like to say.
yeah. I don't have, you know, I sometimes I have some crackings because it's more like you know, kind of warming up, but nothing painful. It's what else? Acne. Oh my God, I had terrible
I
acne.
would never know
Obviously, as an
that
adult.
looking at you. I would never guess that.
Oh, it was terrible acne in my adolescence. And obviously now that I know that I shouldn't eat excess of fat, because that's the first sign. If I abuse the fats, I start, like, for example, you can see here, probably I ate a lot of peanuts the other day. So it manifests on my skin. My skin is my best mirror, and I'm so
Mm,
grateful. I'm so grateful for that. So asthma, as you, I mean, never had an asthmatic attack or anything like that, but hyperreactivity. Like,
yeah.
I used to use this Ventolin
Inhaler.
or
Yeah, I had Ventolin. I
inhaler,
lived with Ventolin.
yeah, before my runs in the morning, because otherwise, 5 minutes in the run, I will be like wheezing, and it was like, oh my god! So I forgot the Ventolin or the inhaler. Now, I mean, nothing. I don't need that. So it just tells me how the human specific diet, which is fruits and vegetables, never will elicit an inflammatory response in us.
Yeah.
Some people are rare, right? They have allergies to nightshades and things like that. But it's so rare. So I'm so grateful for this lifestyle, really.
So beautiful. And I just want to say about the nightshade or solanine deficiency or solanine allergies. I've worked with people who've had these issues. And what I've also found is that for many of them, that also clears up the longer that they're eating a plant foods diet. That some of these allergies or intolerances come because of a gut microbiome that has been shifted adversely because of abusing our body through bad food in the past. So even those things I think can possibly heal on this diet. But thank you for sharing that. It's so great to hear those benefits. And I mean, you look wonderful. You look healthy and
Thank you.
happy. And so it's so great to hear how powerful this can be. I experience similar things, and but to hear somebody else talk about it, thank you for sharing that. Anything else you can think of, maybe even outside of just physical, any mental or
Oh,
spiritual things you want to
of
share around that?
course. Everything is connected,
Yes.
like when I watched Earthlings, when I transitioned from vegetarian to vegan, um, I became more spiritual, more empathetic, more altruistic, more considerate. I mean, I'm human and I'm imperfect, so I have my dark side as well. But I think, the that dark side of me is just the contrast that I am able to recognize. And when I see that part of me, it's like, oh, I recognize you, and I know that you are not that. So I'm more aware of my emotions.
Mm,
I'm more aware of everything that doesn't resonate with me, even when I'm afraid. I'm not afraid of death. In the past I was so afraid of dying. Now I don't care if I die today, tomorrow. It's just like
wow.
it brings you a lot of peace, like not being so attached to the material things, understanding that death is part of life. It's everything is so connected. And now with the connection that I have with the animals, that knowing scientifically that we are designed to thrive without need to inflict suffering on other living beings, to me that brings a lot of peace. I think I've been
Yes.
able to clean myself out of that, even not intentional at the time karma that I brought to myself. But now, with all the social media and the means of communications that we have, it's personal decision, honestly. If we really want to turn a blind eye and say, you know what, I'm not killing it anyways, I can go away with it. Let's just think twice, because our choices are not necessarily reflected in the way we act, but also what we pay, where we put our money, our energy. So for me, that understanding, and that spirituality and the peace that the diet and the lifestyle brings to me is just, I don't know. I don't know how could I attain this level of wisdom, if you want to call it that way, with any other diet.
Yeah, I, it's so well said what you said. And I have felt I would not have believed I would be able to achieve, I don't know if the right word is achieve, feel, experience this level of peace and connection ever before I shifted to this lifestyle and have been living this way. So it's so great to talk about this with you also, because I think it's one part of the diet. We hear a lot about calories and protein and B12, but there's not to my knowledge enough discussion around this spirituality. I know spirituality can be kind of a touchy subject, But to
Yeah.
say, it's a powerful thing to say, like, my fear of death has fallen away, or I feel such deep peace, or I feel, and I feel the same increase in empathy. I just want to stay there for one moment, and maybe we can talk about it for just a couple of moments. Where do you think that comes from? That increased feeling of empathy, maybe even the lessening of fear. What about the diet would you say helps or supports that?
Well, we can approach that, I think, at the scientific level when, there have been studies that show how our microbiome shifts depending on the
Mm,
food that we put in. So
yes.
we put there, definitely the microbiome that is going to grow is going to be anaerobes, all these microorganisms that basically feed on the garbage that we put in our bodies. And those definitely secrete some hormones and neurotransmitters that are not so propitiatory for the well-being, for our bright side. Our emotions go down because all these neurotransmitters and substances, chemicals, hormones that happens or start in the gut. In the gut, is the second brain, they call it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best explanation. Like, we are afraid, we are not satisfied, we are depressed. Everything starts in the gut. I mean, somebody in the past, some Greek person said it, but yeah, or Latin, Roman, I don't remember who was, but everything starts in the gut. Health starts in the gut, or disease. So that's the scientific explanation. When our mood and emotions can be affected for sure by the way we eat. And at the spiritual level, we were talking about that is, I don't know, I read someone, or I think it's in the Essene Gospel of Peace. I haven't read the book, but somebody told me that they read it there, that we eat the energy cooked perfectly by the sun. So for
Yes.
me, that made a lot of sense, because why would I use fire to destroy the perfect structure of an already perfectly ripe fruit or vegetable? I think it's counterproductive. So if we are ingesting energetic living food, that definitely uplifts your spirit, your soul, whatever your beliefs are. But if it can be explained scientifically, and if we are not only matter but spirit as well, I think that definitely affects what we are, beyond the material layers and manifestations of our reality. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love all of that and resonate with that. I had the opportunity to interview Aris Latam, Dr. Aris Latam. That interview is on my channel a couple of years ago. He's in Costa Rica now, raw vegan for 40 plus years. He doesn't call himself raw, actually, and even vegan, but he's leading a living foods, plant foods diet for 40 plus years. And he calls the diet sun-fired. Doesn't call it
Um,
raw because, like you said beautifully, it's been perfectly cooked by the sun. And what I always say is, I can't upstage Mama Nature in terms of her cooking abilities. Nobody can get better than that. And in terms of the bioavailability of the nutrients, the nutrient quality, the nutrient, all of that, and then just the life force. You can't then take it on and put it on a stove and do better. And if anything, there might be detrimental. There probably is detrimental effects. So I love your answer. Thank you for sharing that with us.
sure.
I also wanted to ask you a little bit about any challenges, or what have been maybe the biggest challenges on this lifestyle? Because many people, they hear this, they say, this sounds amazing, I want to try, or they've tried it. I've worked with many people who've struggled. What is, if anything, what have been your challenges, and how have you overcome them? Or if there's something even now you're going through, and it may be socially, it might be with relationships, in terms of this diet, any struggles you've had in terms of sticking with a diet?
It's gonna sound very, I don't know, funny for some, and maybe like, oh, what, like, does she think she's better than anybody else? No, it's not. I think actually this lifestyle, this way of eating, has protected me a lot, because that really takes away the negative people out of my life. The
Hmm.
people who don't want to know, I mean, it's rejection is protection. So anything or anybody who rejects this, who rejects you for aiming to improve or to change, most likely that person doesn't have your best interest. That person is being selfish because they want of you the image, the person that they want for themselves. And you have to have that liberty, that freedom to say, you know what, I'm going to do that, and whoever rejects me is because it's not meant to be in my life to begin with. So that's what I can say about that. It's been a blessing realizing who my friends are, and the ones who do not resonate with that, like this lifestyle. I'm not saying that they're not my friends. Quite the opposite. I mean, I have very good friends that are omnivores, etc. And I never impose my belief systems on them. But it has kept me separated from people who do not resonate with me at the energetic level. So I think that's a good point. The other thing is that I know that people struggle with they are transitioning is that socially, the social isolation that they can feel at the beginning, that will be um, something difficult, like an obstacle that some people face. I would say, start looking for Facebook support groups,
Mm.
follow Instagram raw vegan people, follow your YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, people who have been doing this for a long time. Not everybody in our community is an angel, it's like
Yeah.
we are humans. Everybody has different stages in their um, personal development and growth and spiritual you know journeys. You can resonate with some people, not with others. It's just finding your niche, finding your tribe. And even though we are miles away, like you're in Spain, Canary Islands, right? So I'm in the UK. Just this interaction is so important. So connect with people. That social isolation aspect can be overcome so easily. Like, for example, if you're going for a Christmas dinner in your workplace or something, bring your own salad, or
Yeah.
go ahead in advance and ask the chef in the restaurant, I have this dietary restriction. Don't say anything, just like health issues, can you do this for me? Call them beforehand. That's the thing that I do. And even though if I need to go for a dinner, I go and eat before. And if there's nothing that is suitable for me, I just ask for a juice. There's always something, but always be prepared. So the first phases during your transition is going to be difficult. You have to figure out for yourself that those particular situations where you need to plan ahead, but it takes time. I mean, you don't run a marathon and qualify for Boston when you run a single 5K. You have to start running 5Ks, 10Ks, 13 miles, and then you get faster. It's a process, and love yourself in the process. Don't beat yourself so hard if you're not perfect when trying. It's normal.
Beautiful. I love that you ended with self-love, because I think that is a huge part of the journey, to help with being successful. Like you said beautifully, think of it as a marathon, and this is your life. This is not about, a weekend detox, at least for most people. It's about, like, how do I do this and be kind to myself? And I love that you ended with self-love. Those are great tips. I I really love that. I have a webinar called the 5 Tips for How to Be Successful on a Raw Vegan Diet. And I think one big part of that is the emotions. And you mentioned a little bit about that too. And I think really, because the raw vegan diet, it just unblocks, I think, channels in many ways, and you become much more aware of your emotions. And then what do you do with them, right? So all these practical, but also bigger picture things, strategies, I think can be super helpful. I loved hearing yours. I'm curious, I have a curiosity around, I think we can talk about these things, and it's beautiful to hear bigger philosophy. And then I love to hear about the food, because I also think the food is just so beautiful and wonderful. So if you're open to it, can you share with us what you ate yesterday? Like, walk us through your day and what your, I love, part of what I love about this lifestyle is all the amazing food I get to eat. And so people are always like, what did you eat in a day? People are always curious about that. So can you share with us what you had yesterday?
Sure. All right. Well, I do intermittent fasting, so I don't have breakfast. I start eating after 11 a.m. almost always, unless I wake up very early. Probably I start my eating at 10. So my brunch, it will be my first meal of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I had a couple of pineapples, kind of mid-sized pineapples.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had one, two, like five mandarins together. Like, I mean, now my stomach can handle it. And it's just water and fiber. So at the time I'm finishing the first pineapple, it's gonna reach probably the, the stomach, the lower part of my stomach. And it's just getting the all the digestive juices are getting prepared to handle massive amount of food. So two pineapples, five mandarins, and then I rested a little bit, and then I was able to eat maybe a smoothie of I think I put some blueberries and a banana and tons of greens and a
Mm,
few spoons of chia seeds and a tiny bit of coconut milk, maybe two dates. So it's, people think about all these quantities and how is it possible? Yes, it's possible. In a smoothie, I mean, it's not like I drink it like water. I savor it. I sip on it.
yeah.
I play with it in my mouth. And then, if I feel more hungry, probably I end up eating more bananas. But that will be my first meal. Yeah, so that will be, two pineapples, five mandarins, and then if I'm feeling hungry, probably I'll incorporate a smoothie with tons of greens, probably a couple of tablespoons of chia seeds
Nice.
pre-soaked. I mean, the chia seeds just they soak very fast, like 5 minutes or so. Um, so that will be like my first meal. So my first meal is huge. Will
Yeah.
be like 1,000 to 1,500 calories in a single time. So that will be, and I don't eat like crazy, it's like in an hour, I give myself my time. So that will be that. And then around 5 to 6, I have my second meal, which is a huge salad, but huge,
Hmm.
all varieties of lettuces and chopped green onion and a lot of tomatoes and probably a third of an avocado, celery, um, asparagus. I mean, as far as I remember, seaweed. I love it. Romaine lettuce. I do like tacos of romaine lettuce, shredded carrots, like huge, colorful salad. So anything that I
Gorgeous.
have on the fridge, I don't even count it. I just chop and it's huge. Then I make like a very low fat dressing, probably a couple of dates, a tablespoon of lucuma powder, maybe a few nuts, maybe some lemon juice, some spices, celery to make it more thick. Um, yeah, and that's it. So simple.
So simple, but so beautiful. And it sounds like what I believe the diet of abundance. And it's
Abundant.
my mouth is watering as you're speaking. So so great. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that with us. I think I want to end on one more question. I feel like we could talk for hours. The question left for you to share with us maybe is around your vision for, I'm seeing that beautiful, the cosmos behind you. And I just would love, especially during this time, this is a time for many people that feels uncertain, for some people fear filled. What is your vision for us as a people, as a tribe of humans? Yeah.
Yeah. I think with any crisis there is opportunity, and sometimes I need to remind myself of that because I'm human and I'm prey of fear sometimes. Not fear of dying, as I mentioned in the beginning, but more like, we don't like to suffer, we don't like instability, we don't like uncertainty. We need to feel secure. That's like a basic human um, right, like the sensation of security and being confident. So this is a time of crisis. The coronavirus and whatever is underneath or whatever is behind the curtains, some people say is a cover up. I mean, I personally think that it's a virus. So regardless, I think it's a wake up call for humanity that regardless of your religion, your um, political point of view, your uh, inclinations, right, left, conservative, liberal, I think it's a wake up call to realize that we have been inflicting so much damage to Earth, abusing innocent people and animals, and I think it's a wake up call. So if we want to see change in the world, we need to start changing ourselves, and that is going to inspire and accelerate the evolution in terms of our spirituality. Because I believe, and there is actually scientific evidence for this, it's called the morphic resonance, where I don't know who, I think it's a British investigator that said that in a community of frogs, uh, if only 1 or 10% of the population of frogs started singing higher pitch or different intonation of their, the sounds that they make, the rest will follow. So I think that we need
Mm.
to reach this critical mass of conscious people, people that are fearless, people that understand that this is a time of crisis and that with crisis comes opportunity, people who realize that the old systems are dying, people that are fearless about the tyranny and draconian measures that we are seeing in some counties and states. That's not going to happen. So I invite you, people who are fearful, to move to the other timeline and say, oh, this is just a crisis, but there is an opportunity. So don't marry with the apocalyptic timeline. Shift your mindset and say, there is opportunity. And I think we're going to make it. So I think that's the key, believe that as darkness exists, also light exists. So focus on that, and that's where you're going to attract. And that's what we're going to attract to our world if we really work together. Even mentally, we just underestimate so much the power of our collective consciousness and focus and meditation. There is this I forgot the name, but this resonance, electromagnetic resonance way of measuring the electricity and magnetism of the earth, Schumann resonance. And I've seen that when there's mass meditations, the earth vibrates higher. So it's understood scientifically. I don't see why, medical colleagues kind of divorce themselves from, oh, that's woo-woo hippie stuff. No, anything that is woo-woo hippie stuff has a scientific explanation. So it's just, even if it doesn't have a scientific explanation, just because it's not measurable, that doesn't mean that we cannot, it's not real, So it's just a matter of putting ourselves there, choose that timeline that we want to believe, and it will happen, it will manifest. I totally believe that. And I'm preaching to myself as well.
It's a
Yeah.
practice. It's a practice. We can know it, like you said beautifully, but a lot of times we have to keep declaring it to our own selves and to share that with each other, as you so wonderfully did. Thank you for those words. I felt that
You're welcome.
really, really deeply in my heart. Thank you, Areli, for this time that you've shared with us. Can you share really quickly where people can find you? I will also leave that in the description box down below for all of you, some of your
Sure.
links, but just share where people can find you if they want to connect with you more and see more of your work.
Of course, thank you. So my nickname or handle is Raw Vegan Doctor, together, Raw Vegan Doctor. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. I will appreciate if you subscribe to my new YouTube channel. I have a old account, Raw Vegan Doctor, that has 3,000 followers, but YouTube is not ethical. So a lot of stuff, like long story. But I'm creating this new account again, Raw Vegan Doctor. If you can put in the description box the new link, that will be great. And I'll invite people to watch your interview in my channel as well.
Yay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. This has been such a pleasure. Like I said, I could talk to you for more hours, and we may actually do hopefully another interview where we just talk as physicians, as raw vegan doctors, our thoughts around supporting people who may have thought, I don't think veganism is working for me. Talk about people who've maybe left the lifestyle and maybe things we would suggest. That could be a beautiful conversation for the future. If you guys are interested in that conversation, let me know down in the comments down below. I'd love to have Areli for that conversation. Thank you again for being here. If you all enjoy this, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with anyone you think would benefit. I think Areli shared so much beautiful wisdom here. Subscribe down below if you're interested. I send you so much love. I send you love from the Canary Islands, and Areli is in the UK, all over the world, wherever you might be. Much love to you.